G'day guys, I'm Will. I am an actor and currently the Dungeon Master at the 20-sided Tavern at the Sydney Opera House. My acting career started when I was about 10 years old. I say career, I started off in community theatre, but I would say that I started taking acting a bit more seriously in high school. When I was around the age of 14, I started doing some training, some classes, just little bits and pieces, nothing crazy. Then it was about when I was about 16, I did my first ever short film, and I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. But it all started when I was about 10. My brother was doing this community theatre for years, and you weren't allowed to start until you were 10 years old. And I had to copy everything that my brother did, so I waited till I was 10, and then I started it, and we did it for a couple of years together, and my sister did it as well. It was a big family thing, still has a very special place in my heart. And it was through scouting as well. I'm a Boy Scout. Not that we're all boys, but I'm a Scout. I got into the 20-sided Tavern by luck, by pure chance. I didn't even know the show was coming to Australia, but one of my friends who I studied musical theatre with, who plays D&D with me, they found out the show was coming here. Their agent didn't send them the brief. She was like, hey, agent, this show is coming. I want the brief. Agent found her the brief. She then forwarded it to me because I don't have an agent, so I kind of I freelance. I find auditions. That's how I get auditions, is through my friends. So my beautiful friend Tash sent me this audition brief, and the audition was the first round was a self-tape, and it was the wildest self-tape I've ever had to do, which I'm not surprised by. It's Dungeons & Dragons. So it was like this 7-minute long tape. To our directors and producers, if you see me talking about this, I'm not complaining. It was the coolest self-tape in the world. I did do it the night before. That's how I've done every assignment and important thing in my life. So filmed it all the night before. It was a 7-minute, I think it was about 7 minutes by the end. We had to do a minute long, just talking about ourselves. We had to just tell a funny story, which I hate it when people tell me to just tell a funny story. But I managed to get one out. It was fine. They gave us a bit of dialogue, a bit of script to learn as a Dungeon Master sort of script, narrating. Then they sent us all images of different character species and whatnot from D&D. And we had to create a character and just improvise a line or two as that character. So I had a half-orc with a rolling pin, and I decided that they were a wizard, and that the only reason they became a wizard was so that they could use plane shift to travel the realms and find all the best ingredients to make the perfect pie. So they were a very fun character to play. I think that was all the elements, and we put that together into big tape, got through the next round, traveled down from Brisbane, where I'm from, Brizzy boy. Brisbane, the callbacks were in Sydney. There was 2 days of callbacks. Me and all of my mates who play D&D together, all of my fellow D&D actor friends, we were all at these callback auditions because they're all very talented. And it was improv games. It was unlike any audition I've ever done. I don't come from an improv background. I love improv, and I'm a purveyor. I love watching it. I love, Dropout, Dimension 20, all of their improv stuff, but I hadn't done it as much outside of acting school. You touched a little bit. So I was nervous as hell, but it was really, really fun. And they just got us in groups of 10, improv games. Had the second day of auditions. It was more improv, some reading of some dialogue, and just went from there. The next day, got the email about Dungeon Master. I literally got the email. I was with my mate at the time who was living with me for a little bit, and I was just in my kitchen. And I had literally just talked to her about how I'm not going to hear back for ages. This is going to be weeks before because they take weeks. Casting directors and producers, they take ages. Got it that night, and I literally just started crying in the kitchen. And my mate was like, are you okay? And I was like, I got it. They want me to be the Dungeon Master. Why do they trust me with this? But yeah, so it was a wild process, but I loved every second of it. It was very, very enjoyable. From the beginning of the audition process, they were like, let us know who you're keen on. I didn't even think about being Dungeon Master. I was like, it was my second choice. I was like, if you gave me the opportunity, but from the top, I never thought of it as something that they would trust me with. I'm very grateful that they did, but I was just like, I was gunning for the warrior. You learn a lot about your cast type and whatnot, and I was like, okay, I'd love to be the trickster. I love being a bit of a shit stirrer, but coming out of uni, I changed a lot in uni. My cast type went from like nerdy boy to the jock. So I was like, okay, well, if my cast type is the jock, I'd probably go for the warrior sort of character. That's why, for my self-tape, I wore like a singlet to show off my arms, and I'm always thinking like, oh, warrior, warrior, warrior. So I was gunning for that. But not because that's necessarily, Dungeon Master was just never something that I thought I could get and could do. And so when I saw the email, I was like, it was shock first, but extreme gratitude. I love all the other actors on stage, and I love getting to kind of foster the world that they're in. I love getting to listen to them and go, oh, this is what you want to do. This is your bit. This is your joke. This is your bit of world building. How do I, it's like putting together a puzzle every night. They're so creative and so talented. I mean, these I say I don't come from an improv background. The reason I've been able to do this show to a level that I am quite proud of is because of those guys. Being in a rehearsal room with them, they're incredible teachers, and I learned a lot from them. They're very talented. The show varies a lot. It's the nature of it. The producers and writers and our director, Michael Fell especially, like, they're just geniuses. They're very clever at putting as much order into D&D as they can, and then just letting it go. So the big quest story is the same. I'm a as the Dungeon Master, one of my characters is an old powerful wizard who gets them on a quest. That's always the same. Everything else is different. How they go about completing the quest, how they find different magical items, what their character arcs are, what their character wants are always different. The ending is always different. We've had a TPK before, a total party kill. I killed all three of the main characters, and the world, the end of the world cometh, and it's all terrible and bad, and then sometimes it's perfect, and sometimes my BBEG at the end, my bad guy, sometimes he's terrifying and he's so dangerous and they barely defeat him, and sometimes they wipe the floor with him. The audience changes it as well. The audience votes for things. The audience, they laugh at certain jokes, and we're like, oh, that's important to them. That dumb one-off comment that some character made, some random sentence about their ex-partner or something, the audience loves. So guess who I'm going to bring into the second act? Some NPC, probably going to be an ex-partner. Like, the audience governs it. You read so much from them, and that also steers the story. With being a Dungeon Master, and with playing so many different characters, and very varying characters, whether that's age or gender or the species of the characters within the world, I've learned a lot. I've learned so much from it. I love especially vocal work, different accents and different voices. So some preparation went into it for sure. There's three characters that I play every night, which I won't necessarily say that, but one of which I've mentioned is the wizard. So there's three characters that I play every night. For the most part, those three characters are pretty much the same. I play a bartender at the top of the show. The only reason why he's always there is because the first place they meet is at a tavern. How they get there, why they're there is always different, but the tavern keeper is always there. The tavern keeper, that's Zoe's actual character role. The bartender is always there. And, but there, even he can change. I play this wizard's apprentice at one point. I thought I was going to have a really solid character for him, but he changes every night. And a lot of it comes from the audience. A lot of it comes from, what name have they given me? One of the shows we got the name Ben Dover. So I was like, great, now I know exactly what that character is. So the apprentice comes in, throws a pen on the stage, bends over, he seduces everyone. That's his whole character. Michael, our director, he's the director for the New York show. He's been with this show since before it was Dungeons & Dragons licensed, which started last May for Off-Broadway. But this show's been going for 5 years. There's different quests, different versions of it. But this version of the show since last May. Michael came over. beautiful man, just so incredible, incredibly talented at his job and very intelligent. And yeah, he literally brought postcards that all of the New York cast had written for us. So we got these beautiful little postcards, and certain cast members are going back and forth. We're all talking to them. I was talking to one of the swings recently and how crazy it is, all the celebrity guests that are going in on the show and how they've been rehearsing them in. And and Michael kind of was like using this show, you know, some of it's teched, some of it could be changed. So he was kind of like, he used the show as an opportunity to play with things that he wanted to change. You know, there were certain moments where it was too strict still, you know, that even with all the improv, even with all the dice rolls, all the creativity behind the show, he still was like, still not enough, you know? How can we take even more of the control out of this show? Thanks for that, by the way, Michael. You know, what can we take out of here? And, you know, and I think I just found it very special getting to be the Dungeon Master. You know, it's this crazy puzzle piece that you're putting together. There's all the actors inform certain things, and there were certain moves that I was making that Mike was like, "Oh, I've never seen that done before. Are you okay if I take that back to New York?" And I was like, "Yeah, you can take that back." You know, Abria Ironguard just opened as first guest Dungeon Master, and all I can think about is like, was there a moment rehearsing her in where Mike was like, "Oh, and Will did this." I'm like, "Does she know my name?" There was a guy who came to a show. We didn't really get to talk to him much after the show, but he just made this little comment and was just like, "Hey, can I steal some of the things that you did in my home game?" I was like, "Yes, take it. That's so cool. That's the coolest thing that anyone's ever asked me. I can't believe you want that," you know? So it's, yeah, working with Michael and bringing things back and forth was so special because, you know, that's why people flock to D&D. There's so many different things you can use, and it's all about collaboration. The rule of cool, change things up. Wizards of the Coast hands us these rules. There's certain rules that as a licensed show we do have to stick to, and then sometimes we can go, rule of cool, we're doing this. Zoe just changes the rules half the time. She's like, "I'm the tavern keeper, I'm gonna do this," and I'm like, "Zoe, you're giving them too much power." But it all, yeah, it's great. It's beautiful and collaborative, and that's the whole nature of it. You've been watching Spotlight with Will Kasper, singer, actor, dancer, entrepreneur. What was I meant to be saying? This is goodbye. Go watch the 20-Sided Tavern. It's a great show. We're on at the Opera House till April 6th is when we close. If you're watching this after April 6th, I'm very, very sorry. Come and check out the show. Shoot me a message on my Instagram is just William_Kasper_. Shoot me a message if you're coming along. We love to know when people are coming. I don't know why I'm still positioned like this. I'm actually talking now. Wow, this is a great outro. And also follow the 20-Sided Tavern on Instagram. Join the Discord if you've got Discord as well. And I hope to see you there.